Do you want to make sprites for your 2D game, but hesitate to do so because you don't want to draw many frames, or you don't feel confident in your art style? Leveraging 3D software, like Blender, may be the solution for you. 3D rendering takes the guesswork out of shading your art, and it also scales very well with lots of animations. With Blender, you can use a very simple technique to render your image to a PNG file, which will allow you to use it as a sprite in your game. I have used this technique in my own game to create sprites like this, and this. Let me show you how I achieved this. In this section, I'll create a bean sprite similar to the one I have shown off in the intro. Feel free to skip around the video if you're already familiar with some of the steps. I started with a new Blender scene and deleted all 3 of the initial objects. I will create them from scratch later. I changed the view to left orthographic using Ctrl plus numpad 3 so I can import my reference image. I grabbed the reference image from Google Images and saved it to my pictures folder. I then dragged the image into Blender to import it. With the image imported, I pressed Alt-G to clear the location transform to center the image. I then used Shift-A to create a cube. Next, I put a subdivision surface modifier on the cube and bumped the subdivisions to 3. This will round out the edges and make it look more appealing. The model is not leaving Blender directly, so I can be generous with the subdivision level. I pressed Tab to go into edit mode and turned on X-ray and X-mirror. This will allow me to make changes to the right side of the model. Since I'm facing the left, I can also see my vertices above the reference. I used the loop cut and slide tool with Ctrl R to create more geometry. Scrolling on the mouse wheel allowed me to configure the number of cuts I wanted. I then box selected the vertices I wanted to move and used the G key to move them to follow the image. I continued to add loop cuts and move vertices as necessary to follow the contours of the reference. As for the front of the bean, I could have used a reference, but I chose to wing it. Modeling is an art, not a science, so I tweaked it until it looked good to me. To go to the front view, I used the numpad 1 key. For final touches, I switched between the perspective view, the front view, and the left view. To get into perspective view, I middle-clicked the mouse. With the model done, I started making the material in shader. But first, I added a sunlight to the scene. I adjusted the light so it was at an angle. I'll continue to adjust it as I build the shader. I then clicked on the model and created a new material in the material tab. I gave the material a better name. After that, I went into the shader tab. Under options, I turned on scene light and scene world. This allows me to use my own light to control the shading. In the shader editor, I deleted the principal BSDF node and pressed Shift A while searching diffuse to add the diffuse BSDF. It's simpler than the principal BSDF since we don't need to fine control anyway. I then added a shader to RGB node using Shift A as well as a color ramp node and connected the nodes together. The color ramp node is the key to getting that hard shadow. I changed the type to constant and added 2 handles, one with black, one with white. As a stylistic choice, I duplicated the color ramp node and also plugged the shader to RGB node to it. This time, I changed the type to ease and added a 3rd black handle in the middle. This will give the shading a bit of a gradient while keeping this hard shadow. I added a mix RGB node and connected the 2 color ramp nodes in the color 1 and color 2 slots, while keeping the factor at 0.5. You should now be able to see how the shading looks. To create the rim light effect, I added a Fresnel node and a 3rd color ramp node. To display the effect, I added one more mix RGB node, connected the color ramp to the factor, the shader output so far to color 1, and left color 2 as is. I want to control the colors though. To make things a bit easier, I grouped all the nodes I have so far with Ctrl G. With the newly spawned group input node, I opened the group panel with the N key and configured 2 inputs, a base color and a shade color. I set them to the color type. I added one more mix RGB node in between the 2 I already have and plugged in my base and shade colors to convert the grayscale from the color ramp to the colors I want. Finally, I replaced the color 2 on the last mix RGB node with the base color to make the rim light the same color as the base color. And of course, I tweaked the colors to my liking. Let's move on to the outline. I created another material and gave it a meaningful name. I switched the surface to emission, which is just a generic color shader. I gave it a black color and enabled backspace culling. After that, I added a solidify modifier to the mesh itself. I set the offset to 1, the normals to flip, and the material offset to 1. I adjusted the thickness to a value I like. Now you can see the outline. The model's looking pretty good now. I will set up a camera so I can export the sprite. First, I need to do some setting tweaks. In the output properties, I set the resolution to 1024 by 1024 and ensured that the output folder is something I am okay with. In the render properties, I ticked on the transparent setting under the film section. After tweaking the settings, I then added a camera with Shift A. I moved and rotated the camera into a position I liked using the G and R keys. In the camera settings, I set the type to orthographic. You may like perspective better for your model. model, so try whatever you like best. I used the numpad 0 key to preview the camera and made tweaks to position and orthographic scale until the model fit the camera well. Before rendering the image, I changed the end frames to 1. This is because I use render animation instead of render image. Render animation will save the file to the destination folder for you, whereas the latter does not. To prevent it from creating multiple images, I set the end frames to 1. Conversely, you can save the image using the dialog available in the render screen. I then render the animation. This will produce our sprite file. Depending on whether or not the resolution you chose fits your needs, we would be done here. However, I chose to downscale it. This can be done with many different types of image software, but here's how I did it in Krita. Under the image menu, I selected scale image to new size. I set the image resolution to 128 by 128 pixels. I picked bicubic filtering as that's the one that works best in my experience. Feel free to try others. Finally, I saved the sprite and made sure to keep the transparency. And there you have it. You now have a nice sprite that you can use in your game. The advantage of this approach is that it's scalable. You can reapply the same shader to everything else you make, and this will pay dividends down the line when we get into animating our models to turn them into sprite sheets. I'll be posting a follow-up video next week on how you can export animations of your 3D model into frames and turn it into a sprite sheet. Thank you for watching and have a great day.